All right, my friends, here we have a brand new 2013 Moto G, a third generation from Motorola. This is going to be a quick review, an honest review of the first few days I've used this device. My likes, my dislikes, the pros and cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This brand new, I would call flagship phone from the guys at Motorola. So we're going to jump into the specs here before we talk too much about the hardware and the software of the phone. This third generation Moto G is considered a budget model phone or entry-level phone. And what that means is the specs are a little bit lower end than you'd find on a flagship like the Moto X or the Samsung Galaxy S6, for example. But this phone is no slouch either. It's got a 5-inch LCD display. It has 720 by 1280 pixel density. We're running a quad-core 1.4 gigahertz processor with 16 gigs of internal storage. It also has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera with a dual LED flash, which is nice. And it does have a little bit of waterproofing weather sealing. I don't necessarily believe that it's submersible in water, but the phone can be briefly sort of either showered with rain or maybe even dropped in the sink and pulled out really quickly, which is nice. It does have a bit of a seal around the internal components. And so what I want to specify here in terms of these specs are, this phone is considered entry level, and so the specs that they put, the hardware that's in here is a little bit slower, a little bit, less complicated, less, I don't want to say good and bad, because what ends up happening is the user experience on this phone is actually really, really good. And so all it is a matter of the hardware that they're including in the phone being a little cheaper, a little more cost conscious. And so it turns out that, a lower end sort of budget phone is put together really, really nicely, and actually turns out competing really well with some of the higher end phones of similar sort of nature. We're not talking iPhone 6 Plus here or a Galaxy Note. We're not talking those series. We're talking more of like Galaxy S5 series phones or even like iPhone 6 series phones. And so you end up getting a phone that competes really well, great user experience with lower end specs, but also substantially lower price. I think I paid $219 brand new in the United States in August of 2015. And so just going over the outside and the build of the phone here, the Motorola Moto G has a removable plastic shell. And the great thing about these are that they're customizable. And so you can actually go on the Motorola website and pick and choose not only your plastic back color here, but also the accent color here. And so this is a red and black customized model that I have. And just be aware that I was a little bit disappointed in the red color, actually. It's not as red as I would have liked it to be. It's more pale red. I don't know if you can see that SanDisk. That's kind of the red I was hoping for, more of a deep red. This is kind of a lighter red, and it's okay. I mean, I don't mind it so much. I like it, but it's just not as red as I thought it was going to be. This snap cover does feel a little bit cheap and chintzy. It's even less, it even feels more cheap and chintzy than, say, the Galaxy S5 case. I mean, this is the same kind of flimsy plastic waterproof back that, that peels off on the Samsung phone just like it does on the Motorola. But this has a little bit more premium feel to it. I don't know if it's the quality of the plastic or just the construction or what, but the Moto G feels a little bit cheaper than the sort of Samsung grade of plastic that you find on the Galaxy series of phones. Jumping into the display, the quality is really great, the colors are nice, but unfortunately they don't pop. They don't have that same sort of AMOLED pop that you find on the Galaxy series, and they don't even have the same sort of LCD crispness that you find on like a Nexus 5. Like if you were to put this screen up to a Nexus 5 or even an iPhone 6, you would see that it just lacks that little bit of color, sort of just in terms of its clarity and color accuracy, I would call it. It's not a bad screen by any means. It's very, very bright and very, very vivid, but it just has just a hint of sort of a lower end feel and look to it than you'd find in some of the other high-end phones on the market. Getting away from the screen and talking about the shape, the size, the feel, if you compare this to an iPhone 6, you'll notice that it's incredibly thicker, incredibly heavier than the iPhone 6. Benefit to that is that this does have a bigger battery. We'll talk about battery life here in a few seconds. But in terms of the actual fit and finish of the phone, it's substantially sort of bulkier than the iPhone. The iPhone has a really nice fit and feel to it with its aluminum unibody construction. Comparing this to the Galaxy S5, for example, it is notably thicker, notably heavier, but I kind of like the roundness of the Motorola Moto G more than I like the sort of flat, plasticky feel of the Galaxy. I like the flat feel of the iPhone, but I think the round, if you're going to have a plastic phone, I really like what they've done here in terms of the way this fits and feels in your hand. The little cutout for the Motorola M here is nice. You end up resting your finger there, and when you end up holding and using the phone. Getting into kind of the overall other features of the phone that's really great. This is not a USB-C, so this is standard USB 2, so you got to figure out which way it goes in. We do have front-facing stereo speakers, which is really, really fantastic. Sound quality out of this phone is really, really great. Other nice things, volume and power on the same side. I don't know how I feel about that. Sometimes you can get confused as to which is which. So far, so good, though, in terms of that. Everything's reachable. 5-inch screen, you can reach most things. A little bit hard to get in that top corner, but it does fit in your hand nice. I kind of like 5-inch or less in terms of phone screens. Anything over than 5 inches to me is a little bit too big. It's getting hard to reach certain stuff. So 5 inches is kind of the max for me. Headphone port on the top, I don't know. I guess that's okay. Not necessarily good or bad. Dual LED flash is nice. I'm still not convinced this makes any bit of difference. This is kind of a gimmick. 13 megapixel camera. We'll get into the quality of that here in a few seconds. But otherwise, it's a great design phone. I think even though it's low budget and sort of lower end, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. I think you guys should check it out. It's a really nice device. We'll get into the software and more here next. So getting into kind of this very, very clean Motorola version of Android 5 Lollipop, the phone does feel snappy, but it doesn't feel as snappy as like a Nexus 5 or Nexus 6. Or even some of the other Android phones with very clean skins on them. There are elements of lag, a little bit of keyboard lag, a little bit of swiping lag, a little bit of application lag. It's not terrible. Again, $200 for a brand new phone. You're going to have a few downsides to that. But overall, the phone is smooth. I've been using it as my daily driver here for the last few days. It's great. I like it. There's nothing in this phone that's a deal breaker for me. Software-wise, anyway. There might be some hardware stuff we'll get into in a second. Hint, hint, hint. But for me, the software is great. I'm hoping Motorola will follow through with its sort of history of upgrading software really, really quickly. So as soon as we get, Android M out, this thing will drop, Android M will drop for this phone within the first few weeks of it being released. Very, very clean look to this phone in terms of its how close it is to stock Android. The great thing about this also is that you have these great Motorola features, right? So all these things that Motorola can assist you with, like if you shake the phone, it'll turn on the camera. I have that turned off. But you can set timers for when you go to sleep. You can set reminders for when you're in meetings. You can set all these different geolocation things and assisted sort of scheduling with this phone, which makes it really, really great in terms of being able to adapt to your living. And so the phone does things automatically, which is nice. It's a nice feature that adds on to Android that's not built into stock Android, that you only get with Motorola software. And I really, really like that. Getting into battery life, I took some screenshots here of the battery. This phone is easily a 2-day battery on this guy. It's great. I think I had, let's see if I can find it here. I had a couple test screenshots here. Let's see, it's not going to be in photos. It's going to be in, let's go real quick to device folders. It's going to be in screenshots right there. So here's screen on time. And well, actually, first of all, it's screen time. So we've got, you can look here, right? 14%, 6 hours left. I'm trying to think. We've got at least 2 days there of use, no problem. And then, unfortunately, screen on time is only 2 hours and 35 minutes. So not a great phone in terms of its screen time, but its standby time, and otherwise the usage time is actually pretty good. So, like I said, 2 days of battery, average use for me. I'm not a huge gamer. I'm not a huge video watcher, but text, emails, calls, web browsing, run keeper for tracking my running, that sort of thing. 2 days of use, no problem. Does not have wireless charging, does not have NFC, doesn't have any of those higher end bells and whistles that you'd find on some of the other top of the line phones. So keep that in mind. So let's get into the camera and talk about the good and the bad of the camera. 13 megapixels is nice to have that much resolution, but in terms of the actual quality, it's pretty hit or miss. Full light photos end up taking really good pictures. Low light pictures end up pretty much sucking. I mean, they're usable, but they're not that great at all. Here's a shot in full daylight of a pizza box I took outside in Alaska. We pay expensive amounts for one box of pizza here. You got $45.58 for one pizza. But anyway, the point is that you can see the sharpness here in the text. You can see the sharpness in the quality in terms of the color. The quality in outdoor light is very, very good. If we then go to like an indoor shot here of this revolver, this was taken indoors, you can just see the noise, you can see the artifacts, you can see the grain. It's just the indoor shots, handheld, they're not that great. You can also see a little bit of lag there. Did you see that? I don't know if you guys can see that. But anyway, indoor lighting, I would advise if you're heavily into shooting indoor lighting stuff, I would advise against this phone and maybe do something different. Like you can see it artifacting there. a little bit of noise, sharpness is decreased. So again, if you're into something that you want a great camera for, I would probably think about looking somewhere else. But in terms of a general camera, a $200 phone, if you're shooting outdoors, in normal light, you really can't go wrong with this phone. Really good quality for the money. A point of note to include is that behind this plastic removable case, we do actually have a micro SIM, not a nano SIM, not a full-size SIM, but the medium-sized SIM, and a micro SD slot for removable storage. That's huge when you consider that Samsung has gotten rid of the removable storage option in their phones now. Apple has never had removable storage. Looks like Motorola is going to be the only one that actually allows for removable storage. I believe HTC actually does have removable storage as well, but it's great to see that feature, even though there's no removable battery in here, it's great to see that you can upgrade. So if you choose to get the 8 gig model, you can actually upgrade with a cheap micro SD card right in there, no problems. So right now I'm also going to just close with a brief sort of, my 2 cents on the whole thing. When you consider other phones on the market right now, right? So iPhone 6, Galaxy S5. I had a Galaxy S6 and I sold it because it was crap. But $650 roughly brand new, not for the 5, but for the Samsung Galaxy S6. Definitely $650 brand new for the iPhone 6. And then a whopping $200 for the Motorola Moto G, 3rd generation, right? Factory unlocked, including this guy right here. What are you getting with all 3 of these phones? And we'll just compare in terms of cost and benefits, right? You're getting the Samsung name with this guy, right? You're getting waterproofing on this phone, and you're getting a great camera. That's probably the top 3 things that the Samsung is offering with you with that phone. As far as the iPhone 6 goes, right, you're getting the Apple brand, you're getting the Apple ecosystem, you're getting iOS. So it's a little bit of a different argument, but you're getting Apple's great research and development, you're getting their great design, you're getting their great phone, a great superb camera, probably industry-leading camera right here, and the fit, the finish, and also the accessories that go with the iPhone 6. With Motorola, what are you getting? Well, you're getting a waterproof, or at least water-resistant phone, a decent camera, top-of-the-line Android software, great speakers, the great Motorola sort of active display and Motorola Assist features, and you're getting, a sort of well-rounded phone. But it's a third of the price of both of these guys right here. I mean, you could literally buy 3 of these for the amount it would cost for one of those. And so you have to think about kind of what's important to you. I mean, are you interested in saving money, or are you interested in having a top-of-the-line phone? If you can deal with just having a phone that allows you to do everything and anything that both of these phones allow you to do, but maybe might take you a quarter of a second longer, or the photo qualities, you might have to spend a little bit more time on the camera just to make sure you learn it and learn its pros and cons and the weaknesses and the strengths. Or you might not be able to find the latest accessory for this phone that you can find with the iPhone. But so what? I mean, it's still a great phone, still, has 2 days of battery, still can do all the same tasks and jobs that both of these other phones can do. So I would really encourage you guys to check out the Motorola Moto G 3rd generation. I think Motorola has really refined this phone. I think they put out a really fantastic product. I really like it. I use it every day. It's definitely my phone of choice currently right now, even over these 2 guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this honest review. Don't forget to check out everything else I have on YouTube, and rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.